welcome to a conversation about positioning, and actually this time it's about pharmaceutical positioning because the book is out there in the world, available to buy on Amazon. It's available on the Kindle too, if you want like a version that you can annotate and can carry around with you. But really this is a quick video to talk about really what is the book for, why does it exist, and is there anything in it that you might find interesting. And I hope that you will find it interesting because it really talks about that idea, that once you have a molecule, you still have hundreds of decisions to make, and not just a choice of indication, but what's it going to do when it gets there, what kind of values are going to bring to the patient, and really that's the point of positioning, is to try and understand what source of value, what value proposition you're going to be bringing, what measures of efficacy even that you might write into your clinical trial protocol. So that guide to decision making really is the point of positioning, which is to establish an architecture for how do you answer those questions as they come through. So we tend to focus a lot on really how decisions are made, and that idea of the science really follows questions. If you ask great questions, you've got a great chance of avoiding that kind of premature specialization that happens when people lock into a TPP too early, and all of their efforts are really focused on operationalizing that TPP instead of exploring alternative paths that you might have looked at with better positioning. And the book kind of focuses on this idea of positioning as a verb, not as a noun, not as something that agencies do and provide, here you go, here it is, here's your positioning. That might well be something that you want to get to as well, but it's not the way that you do positioning. Positioning as a verb is about making choices. And if you think about it, you're always making choices, and many companies make them inadvertently. So this book is an attempt to say, how do we make them overtly and how do we make them meaningful? So it's a book that's really aimed at development and their role in positioning rather than just commercial. And this is where it differs from the kind of classic text, the Rees and Trout book, which very famously said positioning isn't about the product, it's about the mind of the customer. Well, it is about the product. Positioning, when done right as a verb, is about making choices about what the customer wants. So therefore, the customer has to have a voice in the development of their product. And we have that opportunity. We never launch molecules. We launch products. We launch brands that really meet the needs of those customers. And that might be, the evidence that we've chosen to collect. It might be about the measures that we've chosen to use in those studies. It might be about the device or the biomarker or something else. So we are making choices about product, and that is the role of positioning. So the mind of the customer, and that might be patient, physician, payer, whoever, is absolutely important in changing the product that we're developing. So in the book, we really define positioning as the choices involved in trying to find that market position for a drug in development, and the collection of evidence that follows from that. So once we've chosen that position, really it follows that we'll end up in a place that we wouldn't have if we just allowed the kind of passive positioning to define this for us. So it introduces that idea of stage appropriate positioning, the idea that positioning isn't the same at phase 1 as it is at phase 3. And that's great, that's rich. It gives you an opportunity to do something different and to differentiate by design instead of by accident or sort of kind of passively putting the data that you've collected in front of someone. And that idea of designing with the end in mind, that if you're going to get somewhere, really you should be thinking as early as possible about the shape that you're in when you get there. And that is enabled by this kind of emphasis in the book on the label as your template. The label is a list of claims. It's got a who, it's got a what, it's got a why. All of that is built in. So really, it's the best positioning template you'll ever get to work with. So, and it also unifies the activities of commercial and development and regulatory and so forth into a kind of meaningful development process for positioning, which is to say, well, will this claim be achievable? Will it be desirable? Will it be something that we can get approved? And if not, is there a way to do something about that? So, the book is aimed at being relatively simple. I would love to have a conversation with you about anything that you like or dislike that's within it. Fortunately, the reviews have been coming back well so far, but I understand how that happens. So I'd love to hear from more of you and your thoughts on this as a strategy. Thank you.